What VA disability rating should I expect for depression? Are you a veteran suffering from psychological distress symptoms such as depression who hasn't received any treatment or disability benefits? You don't need to suffer without help or without monthly tax-free payments that will help you financially while you seek treatment. According to the 2015 VA estimates of the depression in the veterans, approximately 1 in 3 veterans visiting primary care clinics had some symptoms of depression. 1 in 5 had serious symptoms, and 1 in 8 to 10 had major depression. That's pretty bad, folks, requiring treatment. In May of 2022, the VA reported more concerning statistics. Although many service members returned from deployment and experienced symptoms of psychological distress, fewer than half of those veterans received any mental health treatment. Between 37 and 50% of veterans returning from Afghanistan and Iraq have been diagnosed with a mental disorder associated with substance use disorders, SUDs, and 63% of those diagnosed with SUDs also met the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, folks. Hey, remember that. That's a big thing there. Are you one of those veterans? Are you suffering from depression or other psychological symptoms? Even if you don't have an official diagnosis, this article gives you a little more information about the VA disability process and how the VA treats depression claims for VA disability benefits. Now, what does the VA consider when evaluating depression claims? While the VA increases to recognize the prevalence of the psychological and psychiatric disorders of veterans, their approach to evaluation of depression claims is still largely lumped together with other types of VA psychiatric disability claims. The VA uses the same rating schedule to evaluate all psychiatric conditions other than eating disorders. That's important to remember. Also, with the exception of anxiety, medical examiners use the same DBQ, Disability Benefits Questionnaire, for all of these conditions. Despite that, depression that is connected to your military service, either directly or secondary to some other service-connected condition, can entitle you to VA disability compensation. On the bright side, you can still file a claim for VA disability benefits even if you don't have a specific diagnosis yet. Okay, during the process of developing your claim for decision, either a CNP exam, compensation and pension exam, what they call it, and or an IME, independent medical examination, may be used to provide more detail for your claim. In the 2009 U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans claim case, Clemens versus Shinseki, the court explained that veterans can only attest to their symptomatology and how it affects them on a daily basis. That is a big word, right? Only lawyers should use that. As such, service connection for one psychiatric condition, e.g. PTSD, must be considered a claim for any psychiatric condition that may be reasonably raised by several factors: the veteran's description of the claim and or symptoms, evidence submitted by the veteran or obtained by the VA. In other words, you do not have to file a separate VA claim for depression and anxiety, but instead make a more general claim. So remember, keep that together, folks. What VA disability rating should I expect for depression? The VA means of evaluating depression claims focus on occupational and social impairment, how to interact with the world, particularly at work and at home. Now, VA disability ratings for depression claims range from 0%, a formal diagnosis but symptoms are not severe enough to interfere with occupational and social functioning, or to require continuous medication, with intermediate steps at 10%, 30%, 50%, 70%, and up to 100% total occupational and social impairment. The average VA rating at this time for depression seems to be around 70% from what I've looked up on the internet. The description for a 10% rating is this. Now this is 10%. Occupational and social impairment due to mild or transient symptoms which decrease work and efficiency and ability to perform occupational tasks only during periods of significant stress or symptoms controlled by continuous medication. The description for a 30% rating reflects more significant impairment and some specific symptoms. Occupational and social impairment with occasional decrease in work efficiency and intermittent periods of inability to perform occupational tasks. Although generally functioning satisfactorily, satisfactorily with routine behavioral self-care and conversation due to such symptoms as depression, mood and anxiety, suspiciousness, panic attacks, weekly or less often, chronic sleep impairment, or mild memory loss, such as forgetting, names, directions, recent events, general things like that. Keep in mind that you may not have all of the symptoms described at rating level. The VA makes an estimate of which level your symptoms and impairment seem to be most closely related or matched to. The description for a 50% rating is this: occupational and social impairment with reduced reliability and productivity due to such symptoms as flattened affect, circumstantial, circumambulatory, or stereotype speech, panic attacks more than once a week, impaired judgment, impaired abstract thinking, disturbances of the motivation and mood, difficulty in establishing and maintaining effective work and social relationships, difficulty in understanding complex commands, and I'm sure people with anxiety and depression, that's a pretty common thing, impairment of short and long-term memory, retention of only highly learned material, forgetting to complete tasks. Don't worry if some of these terms are unfamiliar to you. These will be part of the evaluation conducted as part of the process for your VA disability claim. The description for a 70% rating is this: occupational and social impairment with deficiencies in most areas such as work, school, family relations, judgment, thinking, or mood. And mood is really tough in anxiety and depression due to such symptoms as suicidal ideation, obsessional rituals which interfere with routine activities, speech intermittently illogical, obscure, or irrelevant, spatial disorientation, near continuous panic or depression affecting the ability to function independently, appropriately, and effectively, impaired impulse control such as unprovoked irritability with periods of violence, neglect of personal appearance, hygiene, and difficulty in adapting to stressful circumstances, including work or a work-like settings. Also, inability to establish and maintain effective relationships. Now we're finally going to get to the 100% rating. Has the following description: total occupational and social impairment due to such symptoms as gross impairment in thought process of communications, persistent delusions and hallucinations, grossly inappropriate behavior, disorientation to time or place, memory loss for names of close relatives, own occupation or own name, persistent danger of hurting self or others, intermittent ability to perform activities of daily living. This is pretty severe at 100%, folks. You got to be pretty screwed up to get 100% disability, including maintenance of minimal personal hygiene. So if you're not taking care of yourself, you fit in that 100% category if all the symptoms adjust to that. Can you adjust your claim if things get worse? Yes. If your depression or other service-connected disability gets worse after you have already received a decision on your claim, you may request an increased rating. If your request is done within 1 year of your rating decision, this may take the form of a supplemental claim appeal, which is actually asking the VA to consider that you should have been at a higher rating in the first place. If more than 1 year has passed, you can file a new VA Form 21-526EZ claim form and specify that you are asking for increased disability compensation. To support your request adjustment upward, you will need to provide medical or lay evidence to show a worsening or increase in severity and the effect that worsening or increase has on your ability to work. Now, your claim may be denied or it may not. So let's ask ourselves, what happens if your claim is denied or if the rating is lower than expected? Unfortunately, initial VA disability claims are sometimes denied or underrated. Sometimes the VA gets it right the first time. Sometimes it requires more work to get them on the same page as you in terms of what your appropriate compensation level should be, or other specifics of your claim. You have 1 year after your initial rating decision to file an appeal of any aspect of that decision. 1 year from the date you opened it. VA claim appeals have a reasonably high success rate, especially when the veteran is represented by a private attorney. There are 3 types of appeal that you can file, depending on your specifics of your case. A higher level review is requested to have more experienced person at the VA regional office handling your claim take a second look. This may be appropriate if all the necessary information is already in your file, but something was missed. A supplemental claim is a request to add some additional information and then have your claim reviewed again in light of that evidence. For example, if your rating decision states that your claim for depression was denied because there was no diagnosis of depression in the file, and that circumstance could go to your doctor or get an independent medical examination and get documentation of the diagnosis of depression and file a supplemental claim asking for a new review of your case with the added information. A board review appeal takes your case out of the regional office and up to the Board of Veterans Appeals, where an actual veterans law judge would look at your case. This is sometimes appropriate if there is a legal issue to be argued, or sometimes because your case just doesn't convert well into paper records. With a board review, you can have a live hearing in person in Washington, D.C. or via video conference and ask a judge to review your claim. Whatever mode of appeal you think you might want to try, don't try to do it alone. This would be a good time to check out your options for hiring an experienced VA disability claim attorney or somebody that can help you in a situation like this. Now folks, I know that was a lot of information in a short period of time, but I must say that if you're filing for a disability, depression, anxiety, anything that's related to that PTSD, it's really good to have your ducks in a row. The VA is a really tough organization to fight on your own. I can say one thing that you really, well, several things that you're really going to need. A nexus letter, it's one for sure. You're going to need the records, your medical records, to have that in details as well. And you got to have the service connection. You know, DBQ is great to have. My first claim, I went in there just way over my head and got denied on pretty much everything, and I'm waiting on the last claim that I filed to see where we're going on it. But you might find you a rookie in the VA system over there that's going to be one of your raters that's a rookie, and he's just trying to score something good on the VA side. So, man, just throw your hands up, say a prayer or two, and hope you get a good decision back on your claim. Do your homework. Look at videos. I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there on YouTube explaining a lot of this stuff. Now, some of this is all bait and hook, and just to get you into an organization to where somebody's going to charge you $5,000 to $20,000 to help you get your initial claim filed. I don't believe in doing it that way. I believe that you're giving a lot of your money away to people that don't deserve it. I won't call the name, but I did see CivDev, the other guy, the other day on YouTube telling me that one company had a 45-minute conversation with the veteran, and the veteran ended up paying him $20,000 for that. And he did get a little bit of a claim, but they took about 33 1/3% of that. So that's very unfair. A lot of this stuff you can do yourself by watching videos like this. I'm going to put out a few more good videos. Hopefully they'll bring in more information that will help you while you're filing and processing your claim. So we appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We're not no professional at this, but we're taking information as we learn, as we go along on the claims that we have filed to see how they come out, and a lot of that information we're going to put out. I'm going to be coming up with a video here in the next couple of days on actually a CNP exam for anxiety and depression. The damn VA sent me to 3 CNP mental health exams, and I'm trying to understand why. Now I'm beginning to see why they did it, which I'll explain in details, and it's something you're going to want to know, and you're going to want to watch this, especially when becomes to a specific company that gives you the CMP exam, there's 3 of them out there that I had to deal with, and in that video I'm going to tell you which one of these CMP examiners or which one of these companies I think the VA seems like they're in kind of cahoots with, that if they get a CMP exam from that company, it's normally a favorable rating for the VA, not the veteran. So these are companies that I'm trying to stay away from, and it may be just in my mind, but it's pretty much in the writing and in the results I'm getting from the examinations I'm taking by different companies and how they're folding out or opening up the fold. But I want to share that information with you, so make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, guys.